Hello and welcome back to Mind Tap Summaries, where we dare to look into the truths that shape our reality. Take a moment and look at this image. It's unsettling, it's commanding, it speaks of secrets and power, of influence and observation. The skull, a timeless symbol of what lies beneath the surface, the ultimate human truth. The suit suggesting structure, authority, and control. And those eyes, dozens of them, watching, observing, suggesting that the power we are about to discuss is not a quiet, private skill, but a tool used under intense scrutiny with vast, unseen consequences. But it's the four words at the top that chill you to the bone. Don't use this for evil. What exactly is this they are talking about? What knowledge is so potent, so disruptive to the human dynamic that it requires such a dramatic ethical warning? For centuries, across every culture and civilization, there have been techniques, psychological frameworks, and principles of influence so effective that they were either reserved for the elite, guarded by secret societies, or simply lost to the wider public because of the inherent danger they posed. These are the levers of the human mind, the hidden vulnerabilities, the automatic responses, the deep-seated cravings that, when understood and deliberately triggered, can move armies, start wars, create cults, and build empires. They are the methods of ultra-influence, the art of getting people to not just agree with you, but to internalize your agenda as their own, often without them even realizing the shift has taken place. Today we are embarking on a massive, necessary, and potentially uncomfortable journey. We are going to distill the three most powerful, high-leverage psychological tools that have been used by every master influencer, from charismatic leaders to the most effective marketers. We will explore the science of subtlety, the art of contextual reframing, and the mechanism of cultivation. These aren't parlor tricks, they are fundamental operating systems of the human psyche. We must, however, hold the warning in the image sacred. Knowledge is not inherently good or evil. It is the intent of the wielder that defines its morality. Our goal is not to teach you how to dominate, but to teach you how to recognize when these tools are being used on you, and to instill in you the profound sense of responsibility required to use them only for creation, communication, and genuine contribution. The shadow is deep, but the light is essential. Let's begin. Act 1. The science of subtlety, the hypnotic power of framing. The first and perhaps most dangerous tool in the arsenal of influence is what we call the science of subtlety. It is the ability to bypass the rational, critical mind, the logical security guard at the front door, and communicate directly with the deeper, emotional, and subconscious mind. The greatest masters of influence rarely argue facts, they frame reality. They know that the way you word a question, the background music you play, or the specific environment you create can predetermine the outcome before a single explicit request is made. This is the foundation of persuasive communication, and when used without conscience, it can truly be insidious. Section 1.1. The priming effect and the unseen trigger. One of the most potent elements of subtlety is the priming effect. Priming is the subconscious process where exposure to one stimulus influences a response to a subsequent stimulus without conscious guidance or intention. Think of the hidden messages in those glowing eyes. They are priming you for surveillance, for secrecy, for importance. In a real-world scenario, this is the master communicator introducing two separate groups to the exact same contract. To the first group, they hand them the contract on a heavy, solid wooden clipboard. To the second, they hand it to them on a light, flimsy plastic clipboard. Studies show that the group given the heavy clipboard will judge the contract as being more important, more serious, and more valuable, simply because the weight of the clipboard primed their brains to associate the document with seriousness and value. They didn't consciously think, this is heavy, therefore it's important. Their subconscious did the work. This is why when you enter an expensive jewelry store, the lighting is soft, the background music is classical, and the salesperson moves slowly, speaks in a measured tone, and the glass displays are thick and gleaming. Every single sensory detail is designed to prime your mind for luxury, importance, and timeless value. If the same jewelry was sold out of a brightly lit, noisy convenience store with an irritated cashier, the perceived value would plummet, even though the physical object is identical. The subtle environment is the true product being sold. The ethical line is, Are you using priming to genuinely enhance the perceived value of an excellent product, or are you using it to manufacture a false sense of value for something worthless? The difference is ethical warfare. Section 1.2. The Architecture of Choice and Choice Paralysis. A master manipulator never tells you what to do. They architect your choices. The illusion of freedom is often more potent than true freedom. This is the psychological principle of decoy effects. Imagine a coffee shop selling 3 sizes, small for $3, medium for $6, and large for $7. The medium is the decoy. Few people will buy it, but its purpose is not to be bought. Its purpose is to make the large size, which is only $1 more, look like an incredible deal, a no-brainer choice. The decoy has effectively pushed the consumer toward the most profitable option. The manipulator doesn't have to convince you the large is a good deal. They simply have to make the medium a bad deal, and your brain does the rest. Furthermore, true influence understands the power of choice paralysis. When a leader wants their followers to remain passive and dependent, they flood them with information, complexity, and contradictory choices. When presented with too many options, too many news sources, too many contradictory directives, too many policy details, the average person's natural response is not to choose, but to defer the decision to the perceived expert or authority. The mind, exhausted by the cognitive load, says, "I can't figure this out, you tell me what is true." This is how complexity becomes a weapon, allowing the one with the simplest, clearest message, even if that message is entirely false, to seize the reins of power. To use this power for good is to simplify, to provide the 2 or 3 most meaningful options. To use it for evil is to overwhelm, to render the populace intellectually passive. Act 1 Summary. The science of subtlety proves that influence is won in the details, the architecture of the environment, the strategic introduction of priming cues, and the careful curation of choice sets. The ethical warning reminds us that the power to nudge someone's mind towards a positive choice is also the power to shunt them towards a destructive one. Act 2. The Art of Contextual Reframing, the Architect of Meaning. If Act 1 was about the subconscious whispers, Act 2 is about the conscious narrative, but told in a way that shifts the very meaning of events. This is the art of contextual reframing, the ability to take a reality that is complex, negative, or neutral and place it inside a frame of meaning that compels immediate, specific action. Master influencers don't just interpret events, they own the frame. They know that the moment you can control the label, you control the emotional response and the resulting behavior. This tool is responsible for turning setbacks into rallying cries and simple disagreements into existential threats. Section 2.1. Semantic Packaging and the Labeling Effect. The human mind lives in a world of labels. We don't respond to abstract reality, we respond to the semantic package it comes in. A negative event can be reframed simply by changing the vocabulary used to describe it. In business, a failed attempt is a learning opportunity or a proof of concept for failure. In politics, a necessary austerity measure is framed as a tax hike, negative, or a fiscal adjustment for community safety, positive. The greatest example of this is shifting from viewing debt as a burden to viewing it as leverage. The labeling effect is profoundly powerful in shaping identity. If you consistently label a child as a troublemaker, they will subconsciously adopt that identity and act accordingly. Conversely, if you label an underperforming employee as a high-potential contributor currently facing temporary resource constraints, you subtly shift their self-perception and their future trajectory. The manipulator uses negative, rigid, and dehumanizing labels, the enemy, the other, the failure, to create distance, hatred, and a justification for harmful action. The ethical leader uses powerful, aspirational, and identity-affirming labels, the team, the innovators, the resilience builders, to foster unity and drive positive action. Your label is a prediction, and the mind will strive to fulfill it. This is why the suit on the skull is a label. It instantly frames the figure as possessing formal institutional power, regardless of its true nature. Section 2.2. The Power of Narrative Identity and the Us versus Them Frame. Contextual reframing's most potent form is the creation of a narrative identity, which is nearly always built upon the us versus them frame. Humans are tribal, hardwired to find safety and meaning within a group. A powerful frame identifies an internal aspirational us and an external threatening them.
This immediately clarifies the world, reduces cognitive complexity, and unleashes the powerful, motivating forces of in-group loyalty and out-group aggression. The cult leader frames their followers, us, the enlightened, the special few,